Welcome back. We are continuing with Lesson 5 of Unit 2, Animal Classification, and we are going to be continuing to learn about fish in Chapter 6. So you will need your activity book, page 5.3. You will also need your student reader so that you can follow along, or you can follow along on the screen, but it's nice to have the book in your hand. And we're going to use this graphic organizer to write down some things that we learn about fish along the way. So in the center of this graphic organizer is our main idea, which is fish. We're going to be adding details around that main idea as we read. So go ahead and open up to Chapter 6. Page 42, and follow along with me. Chapter 6, Fish, Fins, and Gills. Read aloud. Hello everyone, I'm back after a delightful rest. Today I'm going to tell you more about my friend Paolo Piranha and the group to which he belongs. So far, you've learned that scientists classify living things by common characteristics in order to study them and show relationships. You have learned about cold-blooded and warm-blooded animals. Who remembers if Paolo is cold-blooded or warm-blooded and can explain what that means? Bravo! Right! Paolo Piranha's internal body temperature varies with his surroundings. When Paolo is swimming in warm water, his body temperature is higher than when he is swimming in cold water. His body temperature is not constant. It makes adjustments to the surrounding temperature easily. This is the rainforest with Paolo. Who remembers another way scientists classify animals? I'll give you a hint. It also has to do with bones. Right. Some animals have backbones. What's another word for animals with backbones? Yes. Animals with backbones are called vertebrates, and those without backbones are called... It's an invertebrate. Paolo is one of many kinds of animals capable of swimming. Having a strong backbone is one type of body design that helps Paolo and other fish to be good swimmers. You have also learned a little bit about taxonomy, the science of classification. Fish are members of Animalia, or the animal kingdom, just like you and me, but they belong to a different animal group. You are a mammal like Hilda Hippo, and myself, Ebenezer, is a bird, and Paolo is a fish. Fish are vertebrates, and they are cold-blooded. There are many different types and sizes of fish, represented by many species. Today, I'm going to teach you a little more about aquatic species of animals that are classified as fish. So, to say that in 3 words, fish are aquatic. They don't live on land. They live in water. All species of fish are aquatic. Fish make up the largest group of vertebrates on Earth. Let's take a look at my picture that shows a view of planet Earth from space. There is a lot more water than land. Nearly 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Fish are swimming about in the Earth's waters, from ponds and streams to rivers, lakes, and oceans. They have adapted to almost every water habitat on Earth, except for some very hot springs and the extremely salty Dead Sea. Aside from these places, fish can live anywhere. It's no wonder that fish make up the largest group of vertebrates on Earth. Boys and girls, there are 3 important things on here on this page that we should write down on our fish web. And it doesn't matter if the writing is upside down. It's okay. You can do your writing or your bubbles in whatever direction you want to. The first thing that we learned about with the fish is they are cold-blooded. So I'm going to go ahead and write cold-blooded right here. And you can really add that to any spoke around the web that you want to. Something else that we learned about the fish is they are vertebrates, and some of you probably remembered that from other lessons. So they are vertebrates, and I'm going to put a little circle around that. And the last thing we learned in the last paragraph, well, the last paragraph was vertebrates. We also learned that they are aquatic. They live in aquatic habitats. They are water animals. So pause the video if you need to get that written down. And there's the picture of planet Earth, where you can see that 3/4 of the Earth is water. So that explains why the fish group is so large. All right, here we go. Most of those wet, watery fish habitats are salty because most of the Earth's water is salt water. If you ever swim in the ocean, you may get a little taste of sea salt. You may get a little taste of the salty sea. Sharks, cod, and flounder are all saltwater fish. Freshwater fish live in lakes, rivers, streams, and ponds. What do you think fresh water is? Bass and trout are common freshwater fish, and some humans actually find them very tasty. Come to think of it, I find fish quite delicious when I can get my paws on fish scraps. Some fish, such as salmon, spend part of their lives in freshwater rivers and part in the salty seawater. Salmon begin their lives in rivers where they stay for anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, depending on the species. Then they make an often dangerous journey out to sea, facing predators and changing water temperatures along the way. They live in the saltwater ocean for about 4 years before returning to the freshwater rivers to lay their eggs. Their migration often covers several hundred miles. Another note that we can write, so I already used this one, and this one. Something else that we can write on our web, and you can turn your paper if you want to, is that many fish live in fresh water. And fresh water consists of lakes, rivers, streams, and ponds. So there are many fish that live in fresh water. Let's move on. Let's stop for a moment to think about the different ways that taxonomists classify Paolo, a South American piranha from the Amazon River. He's a cold-blooded aquatic vertebrate. He's a fish, to be sure. The question is whether he is a saltwater fish or a freshwater fish. Which of these types of water is his home? That's right, a freshwater river. Paolo's home is in the Amazon River, one of the largest rivers in the world. Piranhas live in freshwater environments, mostly rivers, so they are classified as freshwater fish. Sometimes animals are classified by their physical characteristics. Though piranhas do have very sharp teeth, they are not the bloodthirsty carnivores they are sometimes perceived to be, always ready to attack humans. Physical characteristics, boys and girls, are those things that we can see. So their sharp teeth. For humans, for people, it might be their hair color or their eye color. Indeed, members of the red-bellied species of piranha do hunt the meat of other fish in large groups, but that's not all they eat. Most piranhas are omnivores. You have reviewed carnivores and omnivores earlier in this reader. Who can tell me what the difference is? That's right. As omnivores, most piranhas eat both animals and plants. eating seeds and fruit that fall into the water. Many piranhas also feed on carrion, animals that have already died. You will continue to hear about the different foods that many different animals eat. This will help you describe animals. Later, you will hear about how the shape and size of animals' teeth give you clues about what they eat. So you already know several common characteristics of fish, but there are more. Can you think of any others? I'll give you a hint. You know that all animals need to breathe oxygen in order to live. Fish do not have lungs, so we have to wonder how in the world, or in this case underwater, do they breathe? Here's a diagram of a fish. We're going to find out what that's a picture of. Look closely at this fish and see if you can spot its breathing machine. That's right, that's what this is right here, its breathing machine. The respiratory or breathing organs of a fish are called gills. All fish have gills. They take water in through their mouths and the water passes over their gills. The gills take in oxygen from the water, allowing them to breathe. You will die quickly if you don't get enough air because you draw oxygen out of the air. But fish will die quickly if they do not have water because their oxygen comes from water. The African lungfish is the only fish I know that has lungs in addition to gills and can survive out of the water. We call this an exception to the rule or a pattern breaker. Before the dry season, when the water dries up and leaves a sun-baked riverbed behind, the lungfish buries itself deep in the mud and builds a cocoon-like sheath around itself, staying there for a year or more until water returns to the river. Okay then, fish breathe with gills and you breathe with lungs. That's one big difference between you and fish. What's another? So we can add to, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add to our fish web. We just learned about fish that they breathe oxygen with, who remembers? Gills. They all use gills to get the oxygen out of the water. Think about how you swim with your arms and legs, of course. Take a close look at the fish. Do you see any arms and legs? Nope. So what helps a fish move through the water? Yes. A fish has fins, all kinds of fins. It has fins on the sides of its body for steering, fins at the back for powerful speed, and fins at the top and bottom to help keep balance. Fish couldn't begin to move without those wonderfully flat fins and their flexible tails. Have you ever worn flippers? Flippers are designed to be like fish tails to help people move more quickly through the water. So what's the last thing that we could fill in on our fish web here? And I think this is the one that I need to do. Yeah, we could add that fish have fins that help them move, and they have several different kinds of fins. So go back through the video if you need to make sure that you have all of your spokes filled in with a fact about fish. And let's continue our reading. Well, everybody, you've spotted the gills and fins of a fish, but what about the rest of a fish's body? What about the skin? Hey, look at me. There I am, taking a close look at fish skin through my magnifying glass. Fish skin is very different from your skin. Fish have scaly skin to help protect them and help them move more easily through the water. These hard overlapping scales are rounded and smooth, and fish have more than one layer of skin, just like you. I think there's a typo there. I think this should say 1. We found a typo. Now, if you want to go back and add in some spokes as we're finishing up the reading and add some more facts, that would be wonderful because we just learned about something else about fish. Many scientists believe that fish appeared in the oceans more than 400 million years ago. It's hard to imagine how many fish live in all of the Earth's waters today. More than 30,000 species are known, but a vast amount of the world's oceans have yet to be explored. What scientists actually know for certain is like one drop of water in a vast bucket, a big bucket. Scientists discover more and more all the time. Maybe one day you will be one of those scientists who will discover something new. Most fish, such as salmon, goldfish, tuna, and eel, spawn or reproduce in a very unique way. When fish spawn, the mother releases her eggs into the water and the male fertilizes them or makes them complete and able to grow into baby fish. Once these soft eggs are fertilized, they are often buried along the river bottom. Here, they develop and eventually hatch into tiny fish called larvae, the early form of fish. Some sharks, on the other hand, are among the few examples of live-bearing fish. Almost the opposite of external spawning, the mother shark's eggs develop internally inside, remaining inside her body until they are born as live young rather than as eggs. And there's your web again. If there's something you want to add, you may. Fish eggs and shark mother with baby. Oh, look at that. Here's bony fish, cartilaginous fish, and jawless fish. All different kinds of fish. Taxonomists have another way of grouping fish. They have divided all fish into 3 classes or classifications. Most fish belong to the class called bony fish. These fish have skeletons that are made of hard, bony material. Most of them have a swim bladder, kind of like an internal floaty, which helps them float. Perhaps you know of some fish that are considered bony fish. Bass, clownfish, minnows, and sunfish are just a few. Another smaller class has some well-known members. As you have heard earlier, fish like the shark and the stingray have skeletons made of cartilage. This class of fish has tooth-like scales, and some of them breathe through spiracles, small gill openings on the tops of their heads. The last class of fish is not as familiar to most of us. These fish are jawless and include some interesting members like the hagfish and the lamprey. Earth's underwater world, Paolo's world, is a fascinating place, much of which has not yet been explored. Perhaps some of you will become scientists and study aquatic creatures like Paolo. Today, we've only talked about fish, but not all sea animals are fish. There are many other vertebrates in the ocean, such as dolphins, sea snakes, and sea turtles. The sea is also home to tens of thousands of species of invertebrates, animals you may have seen before, such as crabs, clams, sand dollars, and squid. Let's review the characteristics of fish. How many fish characteristics can you name? Now I'm going to read you some riddles of sea creatures. See if you can identify which ones are fish and which ones are not. Number 1. I am a jellyfish. My soft body has no bones, and I have neither gills nor lungs for breathing. Oxygen moves easily through my thin skin. Sometimes I lay eggs, but I may also give live birth. I am cold-blooded and will surely die if left out of water. No, I am not a fish, even though the word is in my name. I am classified as an invertebrate. Here we have, I am a cold-blooded eel. My slimy snake-like body is covered in scales and hides my backbone from view. I have gills and fins, and I lay my eggs in the water where I live. Yes, I am a fish. Number 3, I am a seahorse. My long body is encased in bony rings. I breathe with gills, and my fins help me glide through the water. I am the male, and I carry eggs in my pouch until they are ready to hatch. Yes, I am a fish. I am a whale, one of the largest animals of the sea. I breathe with lungs and give birth to live babies. Even though I am not covered in hair, I do have a few bristles of hair here and there on my head. No, I am not a fish, but I am a vertebrate. I am a mammal. Sorting aquatic creatures is not as easy as it looks, is it? Next time, things will be even more interesting as we learn about some aquatic animals that can live on land as well. How do you think they can do that? You will find out more the next time we meet.